proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York. Hail the conquering hero, he's back.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, here in studio with Bob Savage. And man, it's good to be back home. Let me tell you. So for those of you just joining the show here, I have been out of the country in Czech Republic. You may or may not know this, depending on how long you've been listening to Radio Free New York. My wife is from Czech Republic, so occasionally I'm there. And this time around, her mom was doing kind of her last art show, not for health reasons or anything like that, more so because she's just not going to be doing it anymore. And we had never been to one. So we figured we'd go over there, we'd surprise her. And she was very surprised, which was awesome. And I got to say, it was pretty interesting how much art she has made over the years. I've always seen it in little pieces here and there.
Is she a painter, a sculptor?
So she does a couple different things. She does actually colored pencils. And the way she does it, a lot of people actually think it's painting, and it's actually all colored pencil.
Cool.
Which is, yeah, it's pretty cool. And then she does this other thing like needle lace and some like knitting and stuff on solid objects. So there'll be like a stone that's like totally layered and like this kind of like knitting and abstract design and stuff like that. It's actually pretty cool. I'll post some pictures later today for you guys to check out. But definitely seeing it all in one place was pretty impressive. She's got a couple wood carvings as well, so it's kind of all over the place, but very cool stuff. It was definitely a good time. And as every trip I go to Czech, I got my walking in for sure. It's very walkable. The public transportation is very accessible. So I got in about 8 miles a day. Is just just going from place to place. But the food is also so good there. I gained about 5 pounds, even though walking all of that extra.
Yeah, your fat bit doesn't read that part out.
Yeah. So I gotta get back in the workout routine. I did my workout this morning. Felt amazing, but I got a little ways to go to kind of catch up on all of that. So
what do you do, cardio or weights or what?
So what I've been doing lately is resistance bands.
Okay.
Which is pretty interesting because it's variable resistance. And, I know this isn't the health show or anything, but, it's pretty interesting because the band might start, say, like down mid body at 60 pounds of resistance. But the further you stretch that band, the more resistance it is. So it could be 80 or even 100 by the time you hit, the peak of that motion. And it essentially is pretty cool because you're strongest at your furthest extension and you're weakest at your lowest extension. So it kind of gives you the opportunity to essentially lift more weight. Definitely smokes me by the end of the workout. I leave pretty tired. So this morning felt really good, just kind of getting that kickoff to the morning and having that workout.
Plus, you don't have to have a lot of real heavy, clanky equipment around.
Yeah, and that really is a nice thing. When I press, like 200 pounds, it's literally just a really fat rubber band. It's not like loading on these big 45 pounds and needing somebody to spot me so I don't kill myself in the process. So it's definitely pretty cool. I enjoy it.
Might snap yourself, but
yeah. There's definitely risk to injury. It's just different type of risk, for sure. So, yeah, what else is going on here, though, switching back to this continent, is I see a lot of people really upset about the plastic bag ban. And and that's going into effect this Saturday. Although it does look like a few stores have already started the process today. I guess
Wegmans beat him to it, and I think somebody else said I think it's Goodwill of the Finger Lakes.
Okay,
is also doing a plastic bag ban, but it's really interesting. I think did I send you the article on that?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, I got to send that to you because there's a study that shows that plastic grocery bags are really not a threat to the environment. Now it's I know everybody says in springtime you see the plastic bags, they're in the trees, they're against the fences and everything else, but still in terms of environmental impact, it's very minimal, especially in this country.
Yeah, no, and that's actually really true, and that's why I wanted to bring up. We actually did way back, episode 28. We did probably when this was first being proposed. We did an episode called "Should We Ban Plastic Bags?" So I'd definitely encourage anybody listening to the show today who's thinking about this to jump on YouTube, search Andrew Hollister plastic. It'll pop up first option there, and listen to that show about should we ban plastic bags, because I went into the nitty gritty science for you guys on this, and I'm just going to give you guys a couple highlights because I think this is really important. People are saying a lot of things that just quite frankly aren't true. And it's okay to say things as long as you know it to be true, right? And you can base your opinions on the actual evidence there. I used a report put out by the Ministry of Environment and Food in Denmark. It was published in February of 2018. Probably the most up-to-date study on this, and also what country is more green than Denmark? I mean, they really know their stuff over there. The UK did a similar study and came out with almost the exact same numbers. So in terms of peer review and independent studies, this is a pretty good place to look. Now, it's about 144 pages long, so I'm not going to bore you guys, but I want to give you guys just a few highlights, and that is this. They came up with the numbers on how many times you would have to use various types of bags to match and meet the environmental impact of these one-time use plastic bags. And they measured everything, from what it takes to manufacture them to what it takes to transport them, all of the environmental impact of this, not just production.
The carbon footprint.
Yep, the total carbon footprint.
Cradle to grave.
Yep, absolutely. So paper bags to match the environmental impact of just one reusable or one-time use plastic bag, you'd have to use that paper bag 43 times. So think about this. My paper bags, I have a few, they don't typically make it to 43 uses before the bottom falls out or the handle rips or something like that. But the other thing is, all of these numbers are based on throwing away that one-time use plastic bag instead of
after one use.
After one use, yeah.
And nobody does that.
Nobody does that. Exactly. We all have, and you guys know this as you're hearing this show right now, we all have that bag full of bags at home, right? So what happens is, since that bag doesn't have to be manufactured again, the number more than doubles. So really, you're at close to 100 times you got to use that paper bag to match just reusing that non-reusable plastic bag twice. So if you use it once to carry your groceries and once as a trash liner, that means to match that with paper bags, you got to use a paper bag over 100 times. Plastic bags that are woven, 52 times. Once again, more than double, you're at like 130 times. Plastic bags that are non-woven, 45 times.
What do they mean by woven? I don't know what that is.
I think it's like they use plastic mesh
for strength?
to something. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Everybody's talking about how we need to use cotton bags. Cotton bags are the absolute worst.
They are.
To produce cotton is just so bad for the environment. So a conventional cotton bag, you would have to use 7,100 times. Once again, assuming you just throw away that plastic bag. If you don't throw it away, it's over 15,000 times. If you use an organic cotton bag,
worse. Horrible.
A minimum of 20,000 times. So what I did is I went and measured out how many times does the average person go to the store? How long do you have to use these bags to get, once again, to match just one-time use plastic bag? All right, here it is. For a paper bag, minimum 6.2 months, over a year if you reuse that one-time use plastic bag. The woven plastic bags, 7.5 months or over a year and a half. Plastic bags non-woven, 6.5 months. Cotton bags, the conventional ones, wait for it, 85.3 years.
Now, what I don't know is, can we take our old bags into Wegmans and can we reuse them? Can we bring them in and have them pack our groceries in these old bags?
So I've heard rumors that Wegmans won't let you do that, but nothing in the law says you can't. I don't know if that's true or not. And here's the kicker for everybody who loves their organic cotton. You have to use that organic cotton bag for 240.4 years or over 500 years if you reuse your one-time use plastic bags.
It's a lot of time on Medicare. I don't think those numbers are going to work.
Yeah, I think those bags are going to wear out before you ever make a positive environmental impact. All right, guys, we're going to take a brief break here on Radio Free New York. When we come back, we're going to talk part 3 of Cuomo's State of the State. There's a few more items we didn't cover. I promised you we'd cover them, so that's what we're going to do when we come back.
Everybody remember that?
It's been like
this was 6
weeks,
months ago.
3 weeks, yeah, something. All right, we'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we're better together, and together, we're moving business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today.
Tom Walls started in 1955. Since then, America has been through wars, natural disasters, and economic highs and lows. Rochester companies have had their ups and downs, but one constant, Tom Walls. Tom Walls has stood the test of time. A Wahlburger and a frosted mug of root beer on a sunny afternoon brings us closer to our past and reminds us of what is good. My name is Riley. I am Tom Walls.
Share the good times. Tom Walls.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple
Coming back.
local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and I am back back in the country. For those of you just joining us, I've been gone for, I don't know, 7-8 shows, something like that. So, yeah, I'm just learning how to do this all over again. That's that's how it's going.
No, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a little while. So what I wanted to do for you guys, and I know this isn't fresh, so I apologize in advance, but we talked about the state of the state. We did 2 shows on it, little bits and pieces, and I promised you guys that I would, bring it back and finish out the last few items. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you've already kind of gone through all the state of the state items, then I know there's some really cool episodes on the Radio Free New York Facebook page and also the YouTube page. You could catch something you missed. But I did have a couple people ask me and say, hey, are you ever going to finish the state of the state? And so that's what we're going to do today.
By popular demand, more Andrew Cuomo.
Yep, absolutely. And then tomorrow, what I think we're going to talk about is something that will interest everybody for Talk of the Town, which is elected officials and their use of taxpayer funds to further their personal gain. And we're going to talk about that because I've got a couple examples that have happened here in Rochester recently. And it's definitely something that's happening in probably just about everybody's town. It might not be your mayor. It could be your assembly person or your senator. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But I do want to cover the last few state of the state proposals because there's some stuff in here that's just worth knowing about. Some of the stuff you hear and you're like, really? This is like an agenda. This is something that needs to be done. So we're going to pick up, if you guys remember, number 19 is where we are. So the 19th proposal from Governor Cuomo for the state of the state is growing New York's craft beverage manufacturing industry by reforming antiquated Prohibition-era laws. So this actually sounds like something that probably listeners of the show would push for, right? Because Prohibition, not a good idea, never worked. And so, immediately my mind runs away from our craft beverage manufacturing industry and runs straight to our firearms manufacturing industry. And I'm like, can we fix this for us too? Because you really screwed this up for us, Governor Cuomo. But what the proposal is that it will make it easier for movie theaters to sell alcoholic beverages, giving them more revenue, and craft producers additional retail outlets, and modernize New York's alcoholic beverage control law to help higher education institutions train the next generation of craft beverage workforce. Try to say that 5 times fast.
No, that's okay.
So what I'm getting out of this is something that we rarely see in New York State, which is the discussion of loosening regulations. Now, if you understand Cuomo and the New York State Democrats, you know that their goal here is not to loosen our regulations, not to make things easier for small businesses. It's to increase their tax revenue. And that's the only reason they're even considering this. By allowing alcohol sales in more places and by, hopefully creating more craft beverage locations in New York, they will increase their tax dollars, which we desperately need in New York because of our deficit. Or we could just get spending under control. We could just get our spending under control, and then we wouldn't need these tax dollars. But I think that this proposal is really important to look at and digest because it's this whole idea that even the Democrats in New York State are starting to realize that loosening regulations gives businesses prosperity. So this is almost like a light at the end of the tunnel thing for me. I'm hoping that they do this with other industries, but I'm very skeptical that that's going to happen.
Yeah, because invariably the greed of the state gets in the way. What's going to happen is you're going to loosen the regulations, but then as soon as business starts to thrive and do well, government jumps in there and wants to, they want their they want to insert themselves in the revenue stream.
Yeah, and this proposal is in direct conflict with what New York State is doing with the vaping industry right now, because in the vaping industry they are doing the exact opposite. You know, we have a 28% tax now on vaping products. They're over regulating like every aspect of that industry. So you can look at these two and go, well, alcohol is definitely related to way more deaths than vaping ever will be, you know. But they're doing this for our safety in vaping. But on the alcohol industry, they're loosening regulations. You know, you know right away that this is all about tax dollars. This isn't about safety. And we may see a 28% tax on alcohol someday in New York State. So definitely something to consider.
Back to prohibition. It's coming back.
Yeah.
So now we'll have a 60% black market for alcohol. Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, we know what the real agenda is with vaping, because vaping threatens, at least theoretically, state revenues from tobacco sales.
Absolutely. Yep. So what New York does is they constantly create black markets by increasing tax and regulation. So moving on to proposal number 20, passing the first in the nation inclusive Equal Rights Amendment. Yeah. So I read in on this a little bit. It actually doesn't change anything, really. This is just straight virtue signaling. It's not going to make any changes for you. It's not going to make any changes for me. It's not going to change things for women or minorities or people with religious backgrounds in New York State. This is just straight virtue signaling. We will see no change, and minorities will not see any benefit from this, which is sad and upsetting, because, you know, in New York State, we actually do have the opportunity to make things better for minorities, to make things better for women and people who are discriminated against, and it's simply by reducing regulation. You know, making it so these people have the opportunity to be prosperous without red tape in the way. It's very easy to do. We could do it. State legislature is not interested in it. Our state executive is not interested in it. They would rather just make news headlines and pretend to make things better. And that's because they won't continue to get elected if things are better. And that's just the reality of it. They need things to be bad so they have things to run on. And then when they run on these things, they go, yeah, and we're going to make things better. And then they never do, so they can keep running on making things better.
Yeah, where have we been for the last 10 terms?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why are things not so much better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you were to truly measure things from then to today and ask people how much better is your life, most people would say it's not better. Maybe it's minimally better, or it's way worse, depending on who you talk to. But nobody's going to tell you that it's extraordinarily better unless they've moved out of New York State. Then they may say it's extraordinarily better.
And then it depends on which state they move to.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Proposal 21, expanding access to safe and affordable financial services. So this is another New York State thing saying, hey, you know what? We need to help minorities. We need to help people who don't have access to funding, maybe because of credit scores or something like that. We're going to help them. On the surface, you go, okay, you know, maybe that sounds okay. Read into it. Essentially, we're now creating a government-funded bank network in New York State that's going to cost us $300 million without any clear direction on how this will actually help people. So,
a state-run bank?
A bank network. So New York wants to now network with all the banks and create this new program. It's going to cost at least $300 million. And it's very unclear as to how this program is going to help anybody. There's no clear direction. The only thing that's clear is we're going to spend money.
What does it do?
Exactly.
Do we know? I mean,
it's let me pull up the exact details. By the way, since this has been released, New York State rearranged their website, so it's harder to find the information.
But the banking will be very simple. It'll work great.
Yep. So it says FDIC estimates that 25% of New York households do not have bank accounts or seldomly use one. Yes, New York State, that's because they don't want you taking their money. So they're going to create this network to provide $25 million in new seed funding over 5 years in New York's Community Development Financial Institutions Fund, or CDFI Fund, to be used in accordance with state criteria to expand financial inclusion and access to affordable bank accounts and credit products.
Clear as mud. I have no idea what it's going to do.
Exactly. So we're going to provide $25 million in funding, but it's going to cost us an aggregate of $300 million to do this.
That's just money.
Yep. And it's right on the governor's website, so you know it's going to be double that easily. All right, guys, we're going to take a break here on Radio Free New York. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the state of the state.
Now, more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the Newstead NBC Weather Center for tonight. Cloudy skies out there. Chance for a few flurries or snow showers. Temperatures will drop into the upper 20s. There could be a little slick spot or two. On your Tuesday, cloudy. You get a couple of flurries. Temperatures in the low 30s. On Wednesday, clouds should break for a bit of sunshine. We'll look for highs on Wednesday near 30 degrees. I'm Rich Cadilia on WYSL.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Renee Rofe. Rofe Renee. Renee Rofe.
Renee's insatiable lingerie. Sophie B. Pink lipstick. Satin and lace. Hipster fall, hipster. You run in the racy. Black on the sexy. Sneaky as it flips on. Steamy down the seams.
Renee Rofe.
Sleek in the sewing. Sultry in the silhouette. Sassy as she in.
Renee Rofe at Show World.
We all know that it can be difficult to fit physical activity into our busy lifestyles. Physical activity allows us to maintain a healthy lifestyle and reduce the risk of many preventable diseases. The advantages of physical activities include reduction of blood pressure or the risk of developing high blood pressure, reduction of body weight, reduction of cholesterol or risk of developing high cholesterol, reduces the risk of diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. Please contact the Livingston County Health Department at 243-7299.
Imani, time for school, baby. Imani, time for school. Imani, it's time.
A different couch, a different floor, the backseat of a car. Over 2,000 Rochester school-aged children are homeless, but now there is hope. The Open Door Mission Cold Water House for moms and their children. OpenDoorMission.com/doves.
Hi, Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management located in Pittsford, New York. If you have more than $250,000 in savings and investments, and you've been wondering if your investments are really being handled properly, well, then it's time to at least get a second opinion.
To meet with Mr. Hamilton, call 585-381-9870 or go to HamiltonWealthManagement.com. Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Hamilton Wealth Management and Securities America companies are separate entities.
WYSL.
Do you know the difference between an old-style dealership and Moyer Chevrolet? 1, we have a non-commissioned sales team. Our sales professionals will help you find the right vehicle to meet your needs and budget, not ours. 2, Add our no-hassle experience, and you will not want to go anywhere else. Take a short drive to Moyer Chevrolet in Honeoye Falls. You'll save time and money.
Moyer Chevrolet.
Whether you plant it, milk it, raise it, or harvest it, make your way to Buffalo for the Western New York Farm Show, January 30th through February 1st at the Erie County Fairgrounds in Hamburg, New York. Free and open to the public, the region's largest agriculture, trade, and lifestyle show. Don't miss the second annual Lumberjack Classic on Saturday, featuring timber sport competitors chopping, sawing, and cutting their way to victory. The Western New York Farm Show, January 30th to February 1st, Thruway exit 56, just south of Buffalo. Visit WNYFarmShow.com.
Did you mean to change your last year? Are you worried it's too late to change it? Did you think you were stuck? You're not. Call Terry Glassbergen Insurance Services. We can make changes to your plan up until March 31st. Terry will sit down with you and evaluate your needs for doctors, prescription plans, and what's important to you. You're not stuck in the wrong plan. Get the plan you need at glassbergeninsurance.com. That's glassbergeninsurance.com.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen. He's back from the Czech Republic.
I am, yeah. And I see Garrett in the comments. He is also happy I'm back, so thank you for that, Garrett. We are talking about something that is maybe a little old, couple weeks old now, but I promised I would. A couple people asked if I would, and that is Cuomo's State of the State. So if you guys remember a few weeks ago, we got through a good portion of it, but we didn't complete it. So we're running through some of those final items now today. So we are on proposal number 22, which is preserving 4,000 acres of land in the mid-Hudson Valley. To be honest, I'm not familiar with what this proposal is, why this is such a big proposal.
Is the land evaporating? Are people stealing it?
I'm not sure what's going on. I just know it's costing us $20.6 million to do, and which is unfortunate. I think we could do it with a lot less. I also think that it's kind of funny that this is like an item on his checklist. It feels more like a campaign item to me, which is really what the state of the state is for him. But the fact that this is made a line item, and you're actually going to see some of the other ones, like Proposal 23, for example, is investing $9 million in an unmanned aerial system experimentation and test facility at the Griffiths International Airport. So, you know, as you start looking at these towards the bottom of the list items, if you will, it's kind of like, okay, what can we add here to make this sound good? Let's choose a line item. You know what? Mid Hudson Valley. Let's put $20.6 million in there. We'll say this is a cool thing, and we'll make it a part of the state of the state. And that's really how I feel about this item. Same thing with the unmanned aerial system experimentation and test facility.
Unmanned aerial system.
Yeah.
That sounds suspiciously to me like snooping.
Yeah, drones and stuff like that. Definitely. Here's my thing about this. If this is, which I actually believe that unmanned aerial systems and, you know, drones and that are going to become a big part of America's technology in the next 10 years. I know Amazon and some other places really want to do delivery by drone. And I don't mean payloads. I mean packages. You know, I think that this is going to become a big industry over time. I think it's going to take a little while to kick off. But the question is, why should state government be using the money out of our paychecks to fund it? And the answer is they shouldn't. Private investors already know this is going to be the future. They know there's going to be a lot of money in it. They will front the money themselves. Us, the taxpayer, should not be putting $9 million into this. We shouldn't.
I wonder whatever happened to his... Remember he had the weather forecasting network he wanted to set up? He basically wanted to set up a parallel weather system in New York State with weather alerts and everything else. It was like NOAA. It was basically the same thing that NOAA already does and the National Weather Service.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do this for, because, does anybody notice we have snow in New York? Yeah, well, we're aware of that, Andy. And I just think a lot of this is just he spends money because it's a way to enrich his cronies.
Yeah, no, that is the first thing that came to my mind is that a donor, a friend, a buddy, probably was in the weather, right? In the weather industry, and he needed a way to reward this person. Same thing with this drone testing facility. Could even be with this Mid-Hudson Valley thing. I'm not familiar with what's going on down there, but I bet you he's got a friend who needs $20 million who's going to maintain this with some corporation, for land rights or economic something. It would not surprise me at all. Proposal 24 is
it's okay, folks. There's only 146 more to go.
Yeah. We're nearing the end. No, there's 34. There's 34. We'll make it through by the end of the show. And some of these I'll go through a little bit quicker. Proposal 24 is actually a Rochester thing. So
I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, So Proposal 24 is industry-leading high technology companies to create more than 700 jobs near the Rochester Downtown Innovation Zone. So we've heard this time and time again.
Let me guess, are they photonics jobs?
They're not actually.
No, because there are no photonics jobs.
Because they figured that one out. Some of these jobs may actually be created. I actually know at least one of the companies that is working with this, and they are on a pretty heavy hiring track. The thing is, they would probably be hiring anyways without this.
Well,
money.
that was the obvious point I was going to ask.
Yeah. So, I don't know enough about all the companies, but I know some of these companies are doing very well already, and government is not creating their growth. They are creating their own growth, and they're doing very well. They're making some really cool projects.
What do they do?
I can't talk about it on here.
So, it's photonics. No, just kidding.
Yeah, but what I can say is these companies are doing great things, and I think Cuomo is trying to take the credit for their hard work.
Right, he's trying to jump at the head of the parade and look like he's leading.
Trying to say hey, look at what I did.
Right.
These companies have been successful and will continue to be successful. Proposal 25, protecting the health in Lake George's waters. And there's actually a typo in here. There's no "in." They just said protecting the health Lake George waters.
The health of what?
Once again, really ambiguous. I think they were literally running out of things to say. So they just started kind of throwing things in. What are we going to do? You know what? Lake George, we're going to protect the health of the Lake George's waters. So New York State, all of our friends around us are going to provide an additional $9.4 million in grants to the village of Lake George in Warren County to repair and upgrade its wastewater collection infrastructure.
Oh.
So,
Well, that at least is at least you know what they're talking about.
Yeah, this one's a little bit clearer, but the numbers they throw out here are crazy because it says $9.4 million. Then it says the DEC is going to add $2.5 million, which is also our money, like they're separate pots or something like that. And then another $14.9 million investment, and then a total savings somehow of $25 million.
I don't know where that came from, but at least we understand.
Neither do they.
It's a sewage treatment plant in Lake George. Okay, fine.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what's going on there. Once again, governor's literally just running out of ideas, smashing stuff into his PowerPoint, which brings us to Proposal 26, where they are going to rebuild the Mid-Station Lodge at Whiteface Mountain. My question is, why are we as the taxpayer handling this when private entities could and should?
Isn't Whiteface Mountain, that's a ski area, right?
It is. Yeah.
So is that not privately owned?
It must not be, or it's just going to somebody who it's about historic tourism, according to Governor Cuomo, the Olympic Regional Development Authority appears to be the organization. They're going to redo the 10,000 square foot lodge, and it's once again it's one of these things where Cuomo's like, we need to invest in tourism, therefore we are going to rebuild this lodge. Now, here's the thing. He has already committed $240 million into this Olympic Regional Development Authority, and now we're going to put another $14 million into 10,000 square feet. Now, I don't know about you.
It's going to be a pretty nice lodge, I got to say.
Yeah, for 10,000 square, that just seems like an insane amount of money. And the problem with all of these projects, which we know, we talk about all the time, is that's what government says it's going to cost. And then it's way over budget, way past due on their deadlines. And then they come back and go, hey, we need another $70 million.
Oh, yeah, this is the old, dig a hole, fill it in, dig a hole, fill it in. Like the what was it, the tourism center over by Utica? Kevin knows about this because he's from that area.
Yeah.
They spent, I don't know, some ridiculous amount of money on a tourism center on the Thruway. And then it was 6 months old, and they started tearing down a lot of the stuff they had already built so they could drop another $20 million in it.
Yeah, that's very frustrating. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about just a few more proposals here. We're on number 27, and we're going to get through this State of the State when we come back on Radio Free New York.
This will hurt just a little bit.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Human trafficking is when someone is being forced, tricked, or coerced to engage in a sex trade or forced labor. If you're a kid and forced to sell sex, drugs, or work against your will, that's trafficking. You're not a criminal, and there is help available. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888 or text Be Free. Sponsored by the Livingston County Safe Harbors Human Trafficking Task Force.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-20.
Coming back.
3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, right, we are back on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we have made it to Governor Cuomo's most important proposal in the 2020 State of the State. It is proposal number 27.
Is this the 35-foot bust of Andrew Cuomo?
No. I'm sure we'll get to that, though. No, proposal 27 is to transfer Pier 76 to the Hudson River Valley Park for reuse.
Transfer it?
Transfer it.
Did somebody borrow it? Did it go somewhere?
So it is used as a tow pound for the New York Police Department, which I'm not quite sure what that means.
I think it's where they, if you have cars that are involved in crimes they get towed away, so they impound them.
Yeah. So apparently we have a pier that's somehow mobile in New York City.
I've never heard of a mobile pier anywhere.
Yep. So it is 250,000 square feet, located along the waterfront in Manhattan. And this was scheduled to be transferred from the New York Police Department over 20 years ago. It was just never done. So we talked about government projects not being completed on time and over budget. Here's a good example. So we're going to vacate this pier by the end of the year and move it to the Hudson River Park Trust and move it there.
Thank God that's finally getting done. I've been wondering about it.
I was wondering too. I was thinking, when are we going to move this pier? Governor Cuomo has made it his 27th priority.
Damn, another week and they haven't moved that pier.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go. The number one most important. It made it to the list. And the further down we get on this list, it's kind of like the goofier things get. 28 is proposing to transform Buffalo's North Odd Block. And
into what?
So that's the thing. They don't know. They said they're going to seek community feedback for the final remaining parcel to be developed at Canalside. There's some concept renderings and the property and a map of the property on the website. And this just goes back to the whole, we have money that government is using that they have no idea what they're going to do with it. They have no idea, no clue, and they're like, "Hey, we don't even know. How about you guys figure it out?"
Well, I think Andy's wired up to some of these computer simulator people. I think that they're campaign contributors and
for sure.
Does all these renderings and video visions and
Well, and anytime you look at these projects, it's not about what they build; it's always about who the developer is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's we'll probably
Del Lago Casino. I'm looking at you.
Yeah, exactly. Proposal number 29, and I want to thank everybody who's still listening to the show. I'm sure. I'm looking at the live stream. We haven't lost anybody yet. Maybe they're sleeping at their desk, but and those of you on the radio too, you guys are standing strong. I appreciate you guys bearing with me on these. So proposal number 29, where have I heard this one before? But without spending all this money, a plan to reimagine the iconic Erie Canal.
Yeah, I know about that story.
Yeah.
So $300 million.
Yep, $300 million. Now, it's funny because I seem to remember this guy, what was his name? Larry Sharp. Larry Sharp ran on a platform to do something very similar to this without a single taxpayer dollar. In fact, his plan was to save New Yorkers $150 million a year. So there's a stark contrast here. Cuomo's thinking, we're not only going to not save $150 million a year, we're going to spend an extra $300 million on top of that. I'll let you guys look through that proposal yourself. It's kind of a no-starter. Proposal number 30, creating a 21st century Empire Station complex in Manhattan.
Empire Station, what's that? A railroad station?
Let's pull up exactly what they're proposing here.
Empire Station.
Transit complex. Yep. On Manhattan's west side. He announced this during a speech at the Association for a Better New York. Now, here's the most interesting thing about this proposal. This may be the only proposal that doesn't mention a dollar figure. So, they were fine with 300 million here or there. They did not even put a dollar amount on this, which tells me one of two things. Either A, they have no way of estimating the costs, or B, they don't want us to know what the estimates of the costs are. This is more than likely going to be used to reward some developer, some crony, and it's going straight to New York City, which is another thing. They don't want Upstate to know how much of their money is going to go into another New York City project. I can tell you, if it happens, based on the information they're not giving us, I suspect we hit the end of the year and this hasn't even been started yet.
Well, yeah, and also I think Andy may very well be trying to, follow in the footsteps of Mario and the Javits Center in New York City, and also Turning Stone, but those are side issues we better not get into right now. We all know what that's about.
Yeah. So Proposal 31, creating the state's first comprehensive education and workforce training center in Syracuse. This is kind of...
The jobs will come from building the center.
Yes.
And then they'll go away.
Yep. So this is one of those things where Cuomo is now finally admitting that we're struggling to fill jobs with qualified workers, which is funny because probably less than a year ago, he was saying there's so many jobs in New York and so many good people to fill them and this and that. Now, all of a sudden, it's we don't have quality people to fill these jobs, which was just like a complete opposite of what he was saying. So the idea of this facility is to kind of think of like Womoco on steroids, if you will, my thought on this is people complain about how uneducated voters are, but where do they get their education from? Well, usually the state, right? So if state's running education and they're not doing a good job, if we build this workforce training center and it's ran by the government, we're going to get similar results. We really need to allow unions and private companies to run these type of trade programs because they're going to train them for what they actually need in industry. I very often have a problem with educators who aren't in industry, and this isn't to talk down to anybody, but if all you've ever done is teach and you're not in industry, especially with how quickly things are moving in technology and some of the trades, you're teaching old stuff. And then kids come out, they go into industry, and guess what? People don't want to hire them because they don't have the right experience. They don't have the right education. This should be done by the private industry, whether it's a union or an electrician firm, whomever. We can do this way better for way less if we actually let the private industry do it. All right, guys, 3 left. I'm going to run through them real quick for you.
You got about 90 seconds.
Yep, 90 seconds. I got 30 seconds for each. Proposal 32, expanding New York's $175 million workforce development initiative to meet the emerging job demand. Wow, this sounds like exactly the same as the other one. They just split it into
whatever that
two
means.
things.
Yeah, right.
Proposal 33 is banning sex offenders from the MTA transit system. So I have no idea how they plan on doing this.
As passengers?
Yes. They can't go into the subway. They can't use it. Nothing. I have no idea how they're going to do this. But my thing is, if a person is that dangerous to society, why are they roaming free?
They should be locked up.
That's my take on that. Proposal 34, the very last proposal, is strengthening the relationship between local police and the community they serve. I find this interesting because I feel like Cuomo is probably one of the biggest perpetrators and his followers in creating this divide.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now they're talking about we need to fix this. And I'm just going to read this piece here, and then I know we're out of time. As our nation confronts the toxic mix of anxiety, fear, and division, many of our communities are facing challenges in the relationship between local police and the communities they serve.
Thank you, Barack Obama.
Yeah. So that was Governor Cuomo's quote with this. I think we can all agree that this needs to be improved and that Governor Cuomo has not done that. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here on Radio Free New York.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, very glad to be back. Tomorrow is the Talk of the Town with Kevin Wilson. We're going to have a great time. I'll see you guys then.